On today's episode of Glue Guys, a special Hanukkah Christmas holiday episode. Your Nets are back, Brian. Your Nets.
Let's get into
They're back.
it. Why even? Just get into it.
Welcome back to the Glue Guys. This is Mike here. Say hello, Brian.
Hello.
Check us out on Twitter at BKGlueGuys, NetsDaily.com, The Athletic. Get yourself by the paywall at theathletic.com/GlueGuys, a subsidiary of the New York Times Company. Brian.
Michael, we're hopped up.
The Nets are back.
We're hopped up on good vibes and Christmas spirit and eggnog and Hanukkah
You
spirit.
like dem apples,
all
NBA?
the spirits.
You like dem apples, NBA?
Really stomped a mud hole in the Warriors B team last night.
I don't want to hear about, Steph Curry was hurt and Klay Thompson was out and Wiggins was out. You know what, Brian? I have a take. I have a take for you, Bri.
Oh.
I don't know if the Nets deserve karma, but
Okay.
you know who does deserve karma? Like in a good way.
The Dalai Lama.
The net fandom, the fan base,
Oh,
the
okay.
Nets fans, because
Little shine for us.
we have lived in the perpetual loop of a disgusting injury report after injury report. Kyrie plays, Kevin Durant plays. Kevin Durant plays, Kyrie doesn't play. James Harden is traded for. Then he has the most long extending hamstring injury in the history of humankind, frankly. They dug up a bunch of fossils in a spot in Nevada.
Okay.
Where they found these gigantic whale-like prehistoric, creatures.
Yeah.
And their hamstrings were even stronger than James Harden's was when he was a Brooklyn Net.
I mean, prehistory has a lot of good hamstrings.
Yeah, that's actually what a lot of people don't know. That's the reason why all the dinosaurs died, because they were just kicking each other
Yeah,
with their super hamstrings.
Nice.
And last night, an amazing game. I mean, 91 points.
It is
91 to 51 in the first half.
To that point, it is funny that you bring that up on the day or the day after the night where Kyrie got a DNP for a strained calf. That is an interesting
Yeah,
note.
and goddamn, we were on the verge of having a fully clean injury
That was a
report.
DNP. Nobody cares about this game.
Are you sure?
No, I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't know for sure, but I hope that's the case. I heard it was. I hope it was like hey, let's give Kyrie a quick little resty rest. Even though Kevin Durant, shouldn't he be the guy getting the quick little resty rest
That's
right
the difference. He's the sacrificial lamb of this team.
It's always on his non-supple shoulders.
Those are not supple shoulders. Those are
But
scarecrow
goddamn,
shoulders.
I know that Ty Jerome and Patrick Baldwin Jr. and Anthony Lamb, who played at Vermont,
Yeah.
a catamount, got a lot of minutes. Kuminga was having to guard KD for bulks of this game. Draymond shot the ball twice, which is just in a game when the Warriors are sucking. It does. I don't want to get into Draymond's legacy, but it's a little bit of a legacy hit.
He was kind of chirping at Kevin Durant too. They're down like 45 or something, and he's like, like really? Wow! It just doesn't. He's got one setting. Impressive.
It was this. I don't know. I don't know how to take this yet. I mean, I had a phone call with Alex Schiffer, of The Athletic, a friendly phone call.
Okay. Everything okay?
And everyone's just trying to assess what this team is. And I think that's the big question surrounding this team. We talked about it last episode. Have you opened up your heart enough to trust to have not title expectations, but title possibilities, competition possibilities?
Yeah.
We have two very big games coming up on the schedule. The Milwaukee Bucks.
Huge.
The flagrant injury-seeking Milwaukee Bucks. And then the Cavaliers.
Yeah.
And actually, if I'm Jacques Vaughn, I sit all my players against the Bucks because I don't want Giannis to stick his foot underneath any of our favorite Brooklyn Nets right now because the team is so hot. Let Patty Mills and Markieff Morris get out there and get their burn. I don't know where to place this team, but goddamn, was last night. It felt like the moments that this team has had. Thinking back to like there was that time when Kyrie, KD, and James Harden all played together, and they had like just an electric offense, one of the greatest in the history of the NBA for the brief time that they played together. It felt like everything was possible.
Yeah.
It was like when I saw Avatar 2 on Monday night.
Mike, you'll be happy to
Big
know.
Jim
I'm going in.
Your boy.
I'm going in.
You're doing it?
I'm doing it. I'm going tonight. I took
You're
what
gonna-
you called. Mike called me at 11 a.m. the day after and was like, "That was the best experience of my life, and you have to go." And as a good friend, I wanted to meet him halfway. And that's what I'm here for.
I don't want to go too far down the Avatar deep end. I know that, like, who am I to stump for a movie that costs $400 million to make and needs to make $2 billion at the box office to break even, or whatever the cost
how does that make
factoring
sense?
is? Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
But maybe it's more than $400 million.
Okay.
And also there's the marketing budget and all that stuff.
So we're doing 1.6 billion in marketing. I don't know.
Yeah,
I haven't seen that.
I think so.
Okay.
You haven't seen it?
Yeah,
They've done
maybe.
a lot of Twitter ads.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And since Elon's come in, the Twitter
Makes
prices
sense.
have gone up. It's extraordinary. Extraordinary. The movie's ridiculous. And you got to go in not caring about, like, just don't think about the plot. Just really let
Just
the
really
3D wash over your
disassociate.
eyeballs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Take something.
Turn off the brain.
Take some psychedelics and okay, I'm with it.
Speaking of psychedelic, your Brooklyn Nets.
Mm.
We are on the verge of a Netsessance like we haven't seen, and we're starting to hear it a little bit from the players. Like, Kevin Durant is going a little bit further. He talked to Vince Goodwill of Yahoo Sports, and he had a lot of good stuff to say to Vince, who's one of the best in the biz. He says, I get that other people don't, this is KD talking, I get that other people don't look at our roster as a championship roster, but when we get wins the way we get wins, you got to pay attention to that. And this is before the Warriors game.
Mm-hmm.
When Kai and Ben didn't play, we beat teams by nearly 40 points, which I think is the Wizards game. That would have been the only game that would have applied to.
Yeah.
Any other team, it's hold on, what are they doing over there? They take us for granted, me and Kai especially. We got to jump through a hula hoop of fire to be impressed. Where did that come?
Yeah.
Was he watching his Looney Tunes before he had that interview?
Yeah. A hula hoop of fire.
You agree with Kevin? The world hates the Brooklyn Nets, right? Nets world versus the entire world.
It's interesting because, like, they're, and we've talked about this persecution complex and kind of being fueled by spite. So I'm not opposed to it. I think it's I'm not opposed to finding your whiteboard material in people being generally, like, unimpressed. And I guess I think we can probably say, like, the general temperament of people that are even in this week's athletic power rankings, they had Nets at 7th, even though we're on the longest winning streak in NBA history. Just kidding. But that we're playing really well, and we're, it's fine. It's supposed to be a weekly power ranking without, much bias week to week, or maybe that's not true. But I would say that right now we're getting the most wins, at least. We haven't beaten the best competition, qualifiers everywhere. So I think if you're looking for it, you can find that kind of thing. And Kyrie and KD in particular like to be fueled by a certain kind of revenge story that they have in their head. And I'm fine. I'm here for it. Like, if that's what you need,
Yes.
if that's what it takes, go for it. Because, like, unfortunately, the Q rating it's gone. We're not going to get it back. Lean into the dark side. It's whatever you got to do to get those dubs. I'm here for it. And so if we're going to be bad guys, go be bad guys. I don't care.
Have you seen the play Wicked?
I have not seen Wicked, Mike.
Well, after you see Avatar, I want you to go to Broadway.
Get some
I actually
tickets.
think Wicked's closed on Broadway, but
Rats.
it's the origin story of the witches from Wizard of Oz, and
Okay.
it tells you how one becomes a villain.
Mhm.
The Wicked Witch of the West is
was
she was
circumstantial.
actually very nice at one point.
I see. Yeah.
There's a unique thing happening, Brian. Unique, okay? We talk about the villain idea that the NBA, that the Nets are jumping through a hula hoop of fire.
Yeah.
Which, again, fantastic lineup of words by Kevin Durant, fellow podcaster.
Mm-hmm.
That sort of, like, idea, this, like, bunker mentality, us against the world, everyone hates us. Literally, Kevin Durant is saying no one appreciates us, even though pretty much everyone appreciates Kevin Durant. It's more Kyrie Irving that there's the complicated feelings of for various.
I think people, like, to his point, they give him like a hey, you're playing really good basketball, but generally speaking, I think, like, anyone who's not a Nets fan or a KD stan kind of doesn't like Kevin Durant just by virtue of Cupcake and Snake and all this stuff. Just old
I know,
news.
it's always been weird to me that they don't like Kevin Durant. I mean, I know the move to the Warriors was this thing that completely changed the perception around him.
Yeah.
I don't know. He's just never really gotten it back. Like, LeBron went to Miami. He had the decision. Everyone hated LeBron. And then, they lost to the Mavericks. And then sort of losing to the Mavericks was the best thing that ever happened to LeBron, because then it became not a sympathetic figure, but at least it wasn't easy, right?
The redemption arc is that he went back home, right? That's where they're like if KD goes back to Oklahoma, then you have your redemption arc, and it's bought for and paid for, and it's ready to go. It's all packaged up in a beautiful box. But now that he's gone to a random team,
honestly,
in Brooklyn,
if he went back to the Thunder, they'd be like, "Oh, he's just taking advantage."
Not
of the
now.
fact that
I'm saying after
they have Shea, Chet, and
No.
Victor Wembanyama.
I'm not saying now. I'm saying back when he made the decision to go to the Brooklyn Nets. If he had done that for Oklahoma,
If the Thunder offered up Chet and Victor Wembanyama for KD, what do you say?
dude, I've been watching some Victor clips. I'm not gonna even Wembanyama. Wow, it is like it's like basically he's like 7'3" and plays like J.R. Smith on his best day every night. It's crazy to watch.
I love that. That would be great. Like I always think the Ringer and their draft profiles do an amazing job for making comparables, and like Alien J.R. Smith.
Yeah,
Chef's kiss on that. I do. You know, the reason why I bring these quotes up from the Vince Goodwill article is, again, I think it's important to understand what's happening here. When the Nets went through the turbulent few weeks / entire month of Steve Nash not being very good as a coach to start the season, Kyrie promoting anti-Semitic material, them firing Steve Nash, them suspending Kyrie, and all that happening, and Jacques Vaughn, and while they had Jacques Vaughn, they were like, we actually want Ime Udoka, who has his own stuff that is fully unresolved, it feels like. I was there, you know, because I got my boots on the ground with this team. I was there in DC,
get your cowboy
watching my beloved Wizards against the Brooklyn Nets, and the Nets completely destroyed the Wizards. And after that game, it was a lot of conversation from Jacques Vaughn and other players on the team were about, you know, what we can control is us playing well on the floor. That's the only thing we can control, because all the other stuff we can't. Even though, like, I would argue, like, you know, Kyrie could control him not posting that material. And by the way, I have to apologize to the handful of Twitter followers who, after the Warriors game, I tweeted out.
You really can't help yourself. Yeah.
Are the Nets better without Kyrie? And there were people who were like, clown, no.
To your credit, though, joke. You're getting there eventually, because there are people now that are responding like, hey, like, you know that this is not going to go over well. This troll is too close to this win, and it's not. So at least there's like some minority of your Twitter audience. I'm calling it your Twitter audience to create distance for myself. That understands you. That really truly gets you.
Yeah. So I appreciate everyone hanging in there with me while I just face the onslaught of people calling me a clown, and be like, well, you know, it's a joke. It makes it funny.
Like, they don't get it. They're never going to get it.
There is something powerful happening. Last night, obviously, the Nets are not going to score 143 points every game. Mm-hmm. Do you think they will? Actually?
I just like how you started that sentence with, there's something powerful happening.
There's something.
It was presidential almost.
Oh, thank you. We will not go quietly into the night. Yeah. We will fight on. We will survive. Yeah. This is our Independence Day. Thank you very much. Because last night it was everyone's best game, besides Cam Thomas. Cam Thomas, even in a game where there's 143 points to be scored, he only scores 5. And I felt bad for him because, you know, who wants to score more than Cam in this type of game? Mm-hmm. But Royce ONeill's hitting shots. Joe Harris is hitting shots. Nick Claxton's doing what he's doing.
He had a beautiful backdoor pass to, I think, Edmund Sumner for a fat ES dunk.
I thought it was pretty deft of Cam to not just fire up shots in the limited time that he had.
Yeah, that would be too. He's zigging a little bit to the zag of the brand, you know.
Yeah, I hope it's seeing something. I mean, I wonder what he like. Edmund Sumner got 16 points. Patty Mills, he's an interesting case. So I'm not going to really talk trades on this episode. There's going to be a little trade talk in our news around the league segment. Patty Mills is a name where, like, if you look at the Nets hoops hype salaries and you say, oh, he's making $6 million a year, he doesn't play. What a great salary to throw into any trade. I'm not saying he's untouchable, but he feels kind of essential to this team just because of his attitude he's an insurance policy for the fact if they do trade. So the name I think that they're going to trade is Seth Curry.
Mm-hmm.
And I can get into that why in a minute, but he's like a good insurance policy to have. And in the game, when the tide was turning in the fourth quarter, when it became an 18-point game, him and Markieff Morris basically were just like,
just shut
F
it down.
that. We are going to just fire threes.
This is not going to get exciting. I promise you.
I was really kind of
pleased. Yeah. Well, I mean, worried and then immediately
you were
pleased.
I was worried. Yeah. All right. So let's do this. We have a bunch of stuff coming up. So let's take a quick break. Coming out of break, we'll do news around the league. I will unveil my Seth Curry thoughts within the news around the league, and then we also have killer comparisons at the end.
Christmas edition.
So this is going to be kind of like a fast-paced CNBC version of the Glue Guy.
Yeah, say no more. Let's get there.
And we're back. Brian?
Yeah, hit me.
It's the news!
All right, go.
Do it live! Do it live!
Yeah, I know. I'll take. All right, News Around League here. So excited to News Around League was a long-running segment when we actually had time to build it. And I had 30 minutes to build it before the show, so this is what we're doing.
Let's go.
Trade news for you, Brian.
Okay.
A couple of names that are being floated out there. We are past the December 15th deadline when new players who sign with teams, they are now eligible to be traded.
Talk to me.
There's another deadline coming up on January 15th, which is a lot of guys who signed extensions with their teams will maybe be eligible to be traded. John Collins is back in the news. Mark Stein says several teams have been mentioned. Again, Utah Nets, Washington, Indiana. But the desire of both team and player to move on from each other is proceeding slowly. This also comes as Chris Haynes from Bleacher Report reports Trae getting old, that NBA executives around the league believe Trae Young will be the next megastar to request a trade out of Atlanta.
It's certainly been percolating over there, hasn't it?
And DeMar maybe leaving Chicago. Chris Haynes again. Chicago Bulls are dealing with some dysfunction. Pertains to team chemistry and accountability. It could lead for DeMar DeRozan to request a trade to be moved in the offseason. I'm going to separate Trae Young out of this because it's just kind of unrealistic to think that he would be in Brooklyn. But of John Collins, Vucevic, Caruso, DeRozan, and Zach LaVine is another name. Is there anything that of those guys is there any like real interest? So like Vucevic interests me on some level if it's like, so I'm trying to think of the perfect kind of trade for Vucci to come over on this side. He makes about $22 million a year, so it would have to be Joe Harris.
Egad.
And I'm not really like, here's my thing about center position. We've talked about this many times. I'm not giving up a lot for a center that I don't think really makes this massive defensive impact.
Yeah.
Like I like Claxton enough. Like the guy's going to be potentially all NBA second team if there is a second team. I don't even know if there is, but
yeah,
I don't really. I'm not thrilled by the center market. Like I would take a cheap center, maybe, but not even. I don't know.
And all these are kind of like tectonic trades, right? Like if you get Vooch or any of these guys, not Alex Caruso, but any of the other guys. Which maybe, I mean, you could tempt me with Alex Caruso, I guess. I don't know. I like his.
I think if you look up Caruso's stats, I think he's only like shooting the ball like twice a game.
Yeah, I mean he's just there to get steals, and that's his thing.
He scores 5 points a game, 3.5 assists. It's like the thing is, if you stack him on a lineup with Claxton and Ben Simmons,
well, yeah, that's not where you stack him up. You don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, again, this is he might not even get. It's not even potentially not even a rotation player on this team. How deep we are, Mike.
The best team in the NBA.
Yeah, it's interesting because when I think about, it, I mean, like, who would I don't want a tectonic shift with any of those players.
The tectonic shifts are DeRozan and LaVine, I think.
Yeah,
those.
Which, if we're talking about that, I mean, I think Kuzma is at that better kind of more obvious third tier or second tier star, third best player, and I think he. I don't know. He can make arguments that he plays a little bit more two-way and just, gets more rebounding, all those little things, whatever. DeMar and LaVine are just like high-volume scorers, a thing that we certainly don't need in a world where Kyrie and KD are playing together. So
LaVine could be interesting to me. Like, so how do you make LaVine work? You have to basically trade Seth Curry and, like, so the thing is, like, you'd have to trade all of your draft picks again to get Zach LaVine. I just think it's worth thinking about because, as we talked about on our last episode, the Nets have the 2 stars at the top, and then they have this collection of like above average to average starters, which is a great thing to have. But it's like Royce, Joe Harris. I think Seth Curry is still on there. Ben Simmons is there on that tier on some level. Nick Claxton is certainly he's a top 10 center in the NBA, one of the best defensive switchable centers in the NBA.
Yeah.
But they don't have like however you rank Chris Middleton or Drew Holiday within the tier of the Bucks, they don't have that guy sort of like he was like just below all-star or just is an all-star who, depending on how good the team is, like that's where they rank in the all-star situation. Then it's basically just have 2 guys who are incredible and then a lot of good players. I still think with the championship, like if we're going to talk about championship roster, I do think this team's lacking that third just dude who's like pretty good. It should be Ben Simmons, but right now it's not Ben Simmons. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, you see what I'm saying though? Like the it's fine to have that third star person or whatever, but like ideally it wouldn't be just yet another 25 point per game guy. Just like, I don't know. I mean, you know, they do like 25, 5 and 5. I'm assuming each of them. I haven't looked at their numbers, but but like that's a version of a player that we have. If Ben Simmons could get to the penultimate Ben Simmons, you know, Megatron that we're looking for him to be, that's probably ideal. So maybe just hang in there a little bit longer and see if that pans out.
I think it's a hang-in situation. Yeah. And the other thing I want to say about why I haven't gone crazy on trades is just because, like, I heard Kustak talk about this on Zach Lowe's show. No big deal. Friend of both of them are friends of our show.
Okay.
Zach Lowe, not as much. He follows us on Twitter, so you know I'll take the win on that front. I'm friends with everyone who follows us on Twitter. That's how I view it. This team has so lacked consistency for so long, and who would have thought that this team would be this good right now? Like I some of it's little fool's goldy because they've played a bunch of teams who have guys out, but you don't apologize for wins, Brian.
They never apologized to us. I didn't get any apologies for all those years.
So don't. I'm refusing to apologize for whatever they're asking us to apologize for. The Nets are 20-12. They're 4th in the East. They are with an amazing amazing game against the Bucks and the Cavs, an opportunity that's to play the Hawks and all. Like they obviously have an amazing opportunity in front of them. This is about to be news around the league, but the top of the East is wobbling a little bit.
They are.
I would value consistency over making like a pretty big move. The only thing I wonder is that like, is Ben Simmons as ingrained on the team? Like if you trade him, are people really breaking out the tiny violins for the fact that Ben's not on the team anymore? I don't know. You know, I don't know that. I don't know how ingrained he is.
I don't think anyone's breaking out the violins yet. I do think there would be some lamenting because I do still think that there's a potentiality that he becomes good again. And I don't know.
What?
I don't know that it's like
a potentiality.
What is that?
What word did you just say?
Did I say that? I don't know. There's some potential that he like reaches that zenith that we're looking for. But yeah, and so that for that reason alone, if we did like, I don't know, a short-sighted trade like that, not short-sighted, I mean like for DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine, I don't know. They're just no quantities, and I don't think they solve the problems that are kind of happening for us, which is slightly in the fringes, the utility zones. So I mean, I actually think that increasingly, even if Ben Simmons doesn't score much, him being just an elite defender and being connective tissue between our best players, if he could just lean into that, it's not that it doesn't need a huge role, it doesn't need to be huge.
There is, there's that like distinct sort of oh my God, Jeannie Buss is engaged to Jay Moore.
Crazy.
Did you know that?
No.
Great for them. Happy for them. It's very interesting.
Good for you. Anyways,
sorry.
Wow,
That,
you're like
really
you're
threw me
moved.
for a loop.
Oh my God, you're like
That really threw me for a loop.
You seem like a totally different person now. You seem changed.
I'm happy for both sides.
Wow.
Okay, very happy for both
Trying
sides.
to read your reaction.
Then, because if you drew up a perfect third player like you're talking about, like to me, like Marcus Smart is always the perfect kind of third guy on a team with like 2 really good scorers because he does all the defense stuff. Like Ben Simmons is a better player than Marcus Smart in a bubble, but on the court, it hasn't happened in a long, long time.
Yeah.
And like Marcus Smart's like irrepressible confidence is what makes him so good. Where if Ben Simmons had the irrepressible confidence that Marcus Smart had, we would all be fine.
So I think we
winning a
all agree.
championship.
Let's probably not trade anybody for any big players. No.
Let me tell you this. Okay. I don't know if you've been monitoring the top of the Eastern Conference, but your Boston Celtics, okay, they have lost 5 of the last 6 games. And the only game that they won within that stretch is an overtime thriller against the Los Angeles Lakers. They went on a really long road trip that included a loss at Golden State, at the Clippers. They had that win against the Lakers on a back-to-back in overtime. But then they lost 2 straight to Orlando and now have just lost to the Indiana Pacers. So the team that looked mostly impossible to beat is wobbling. The Milwaukee Bucks nearly got blown out by the Cleveland Cavaliers last night, and they've lost some games too. They lost to Houston. They lost to Memphis recently. They've also won some games, but they are not as indestructible as we maybe have seen. My question to you, Brian, we're going to get a lot of information in this Bucks game coming up.
A lot. Get it
Do
out.
you think I know, sorry. Is you haven't obviously watched the Celtics play lately and the Bucks
Have I watched them? No, I mean, I've seen highlights and stuff, but no.
highlights.
Yeah.
What I want to say to you is that I don't think it's impossible to see a world where the Nets are considered not the Eastern Conference favorite, but like the number 1 seed in the East for chunks of the season. Because Celtics, it is a true wobble.
Yeah.
It is a true, if there's a Richter scale, an Andy Richter scale, it would be registering right now.
Totally.
Wouldn't be quite Coden show, but it would be the Andy Richter show, at least. That amount of movement. Yes.
Well, I was going to say, I just wanted to shoot a stray at Alex Schiffer. It's my turn. It's my turn, Alex. I'm sorry to have to do it to you. I thought that this was really funny, though. So for the bold predictions in the Athletics story, did you read this?
No.
This is my favorite. Is his Alex Schiffer. This is the Nets are 20-12, win streak 7 games, steamrolling. Whatever, lesser than competition. His bold prediction is that Brooklyn wins a playoff series.
Well, I don't think it's not lacking boldness.
That is lacking boldness, Mike. that is the only thing it's lacking is boldness in that, which I think it's there's something to be said for that. I don't know what your question was, but it's felt relevant. It felt pertinent to what you were saying.
No, I don't really have a good question. I wanted people to know, as a newsman, I wanted people to know that we once believed was like this impenetrable top 2 there's some penetration.
I remember why I brought this up. It's because it's sort of we have, and I don't think this is wrong necessarily, but we've got short-term memory for what happened last season. Last season's first-round sweep was a capital D debacle, Michael, of the highest order. And so the beat writers, the local podcasters, i.e. you and me, we're a little bit, we've got some PTSD from it, okay? I think it's fair to say it. So now the bold predictions have been, chopped into winning a playoff series. And it's currently a 4th seed. I don't know who's in the 5th seed right now, but
The 76ers and the Knicks are a game back in the standings from the 76ers.
Right. So
Pretty juicy.
actually, it's a 76ers matchup. We might not. No, I'm just kidding. We'll get out of that round. But bring me the Knicks first round. My God, that's a fun one.
Yeah, I don't think the Knicks are as hot as they've been. I don't know if they're as here to stay, but they have the ability to make a big move if they want to.
Yeah.
And I think they probably will, because there's going to be pressure on them to capitalize on whatever this success is.
But anyways, just to round that point up, there's a lot of people don't want to get pulled into the same narratives they've been getting pulled into for the last 2 years. And there's going to be a lot of caution around this. We can win 15 games in a row and we're still going to be making KD and Kyrie jump through hula hoops of fire. That's just what's going to, and that's a direct effect of
Sounds
last
like a
year.
Goo Goo Doll song.
Yeah. And I want to believe, I want to be there, and just be, back in full cheerleader mode, but that's just not where my heart is right now. That actually is where my heart is. That's not where my brain is.
Yeah, well, in 2 games, if they win both of those games, I'm going to be
You're going to be there.
obnoxious
You got
on
the
this.
pom poms out.
Real quick, let me do a Seth Curry thing. Let's do killer comparisons.
Okay.
So as long as I'm not obsessing about trades, I do think the guys who would get traded, we've talked about Kyrie. Like, I don't think as long as he doesn't do anything else that damages sort of his outside influence on the team, he will remain on this team because he's playing so well. And Kevin Durant calls him godlike in terms of what he does on the court. I think Ben Simmons, I would not put it past the Nets to think about if there's a big deal that they can make, and it's for a third piece that Kyrie and KD, particularly KD, really love and respect, whoever that would be. I mean, they do. KD probably like loves DeMar DeRozan's game. I don't know, but he's not the guy that they need. But he probably does, right? Zach LaVine could be a guy, and we talked about that. Joe Harris is obvious because he has that $19 million salary, $20 million next year.
Although the shot last night was looking very wet, incredibly wet. The wettest I've seen in a long time from him.
Yeah, and I think of all the shooters this team has, Joe is the cleanest of, like, he's the best shooter, bro, the best complement to the stars of any of them. He's bigger than Seth Curry. He's a better shooter, consistent shooter than Royce ONeill. So I don't think it's impossible to see a Joe Harris trade, but he is a trade piece, but an unlikely one. And also, if we remember, Jacques Vaughn talked about him and said when Joe was wobbling, like we talked about on the Andy Richter scale, Jacques Vaughn essentially was like, Joe Harris is too good of a person not to start shooting better, which is a nice way to look at it.
Too good of a person?
That's literally, he's like too good of a person for him not to be on this.
Like God is going to
not to get
him.
better.
That's
Yeah. He's the karma's there.
Yeah.
I think the true trade pieces, Seth Curry, Patty Mills, but I still don't think Patty Mills going to move. Ben Simmons and Joe Harris. I don't think Royce ONeill. I think they like what I know. A lot of people in Nets Nation don't like what Royce ONeill does. I think they do because they play him a bunch of minutes.
You know what's interesting, and I don't want to derail us too much, but I find there's this. If you look into your eyes, Mike, there's this conflict because you love trade season more than basically anybody I've ever met. Like you love a trade, and you like to chop up trades, and I think when you really, in your heart of hearts, you don't want to trade anybody right now, and there's conflict for you in that. It's like I am used to wanting to jettison a significant portion of any team that I follow, and that's not happening right now. I just wanted to snapshot what I'm looking at here.
Yeah, because for years and years, I mean, I would obsess over the fact that, like, could the Nets trade for? I'm trying to think of some name, like way back in the past, who, like Reggie Jackson. Could the Nets get Reggie Jackson?
We almost had him for Brook Lopez, if you remember.
Yeah.
There was like a, midnight change of heart or something.
And the funny thing is, I never saw the D'Angelo Russell thing happening. I don't think that was never rumored in terms of. But I think Seth Curry is the name everyone should be watching to see if he gets traded because he's on the last year of his deal. He makes $8.5 million, which is like very easy for any team to figure out a deal to send him to. He's playing a bit inconsistent minutes. If you look at what he's done in terms of the last few games, he played 18 against the Warriors, but he played 9 against Detroit, 6 against Toronto, 21 against the Wizards. Before that, he was playing more consistently, but it's been a little shaky after then. The Nets have a lot of options at that wing guard shooter bro. Talk about Joe Harris, Patty Mills, Royce ONeill, Joe Harris. I say Joe Harris. TJ Warren is not a shooter bro, but he's a scorer bro from the wing that will become increasingly utilized throughout the season. If I'm also Seth Curry, I kind of want to get traded if I'm not getting consistent minutes because this is his last time to get a legit contract. He is 32 years old.
Mm-hmm.
He was like a G League guy to start out his career. He didn't like make a ton of money. He always kind of bounced around. He was on, I think, 5 different teams to start his career. There's one year he didn't play. Then he was in Portland and Dallas and Philly. And then, so he's never been this guy who got the $20 million contract, whatever it is. This is the last time that he's probably going to get like a multi-year contract before he turns into the 1-year deal, like specialist. If I'm him, I'm a little bit like, I want to get consistent minutes because I got to prove my value. And if I'm not getting consistent minutes in Brooklyn, it hurts my my chance of getting a big contract. And I don't know if Seth Curry's like that, But why would you not be? Why would you
I think he's still kind of a known quantity. I don't know. I think, I mean, this is total conjecture, but he seems to be the kind of person that, I don't know. Is he motivated by like playing lots of meaningful minutes? I don't really know what motivates Seth Curry. He seems fine to me. He seems like a completely comfortable in his own skin, no matter what happens kind of person. Just zen, really, truly zen.
I know, but I do think he is having by far his worst year, just in terms of minutes and role, and like statistically, he's not far off his career averages. It's just that he's not getting as many minutes and as much shots off within his time as he usually is. And guys typically, pretty much across the NBA, if you're entering a contract year and you're not being utilized to your maximum abilities, well, it makes you less valuable in the open market.
Yeah.
And I think he is valuable. So, like, what's interesting about him is that there are probably a lot of contenders who would love to have a Seth Curry. So he becomes more valuable in a trade almost than what he can represent on your team. I think he's great. I'd love to keep him. I love to have him as almost like he's not even his insurance policy because he's still getting minutes, but I love the insurance policy aspect of Seth Curry.
Yeah. Well, the role players are in a weird spot because everyone's so healthy right now. And, usually there's kind of like eras of role players. And right now the era is just total abundance. Our cup runneth over, Mike. And so and Jacques Vaughn's like policy appears to be just like play a very deep rotation every night. Not really have any like consistency with regards to of the role players who's going to get minutes or not, except for that Markieff Morris is the last guy off the bench. That's the only one who's in the doghouse, and Patty Mills to some extent. But yeah, other than that, everyone's kind of sharing this like equal amount of minutes that kind of like 15 to
besides Kevin Durant, yeah,
right, and then obviously it's heavy at the ends, but anyways, so I don't know what the point of that is, but.
But yeah, I would just keep an eye on if the Nets are going to make a trade. Joe Harris is more embedded in the fabric of the team. I would look at, okay, what could the Nets get with Seth Curry's salary slot? And you go from there. Just turning. Okay, should we go to killer comparisons?
Damn, that thing has aged well. It's a little tinny. Mike, we're doing a killer comparison. How long has it been since our last killer comparison?
I don't even know the last time.
It's been years. It's got to be.
I'm sure we did one in the off season,
but not with a full drop and everything. Not with a full drop. It's been a long time since. Anyways, we're going to compare things in the NBA to Christmas movies, Mike. A classic killer comparison premise.
Classic.
Just real low-hanging fruit.
Thousands of time.
Yes. But you called me. You wanted a killer comparison. You pitched the idea, and I gave it a big green check. And here we are.
The board looked it over.
Yeah.
They considered all the options, and they went with my proposal. I'm so excited.
Mike, Home Alone.
Yes.
The Christmas film.
Yes.
What does it remind you of?
So for that, I have Luka Doncic and the Dallas Mavericks. One, a fair-haired boy in the middle of it, a cherub, like we talk about, Luka and Macaulay Culkin. Luka's essentially left alone in the house to fend for himself. The way he plays, there's booby traps.
Lots of booby traps.
Everywhere, all over the place. And all Luka wants to do, all he wants to do is get to his version of Christmas with his family, which is win a championship. But he is he's by himself defending this territory. And that's all the Mavericks. He is just, we love Spencer Dinwiddie, but he's playing with like Spencer and Dwight Powell got hurt. The team is not good enough around Luka. He is Macaulay Culkin in Home Alone. That is his.
I've probably told this story on this podcast, but just as a reminder, since we haven't done killer comparison so long, I got very inspired by Home Alone. Was setting up a lot of booby traps around the house. One actually very effective one that I did was I tied fishing string across the like banisters on the outside porch at about shin.
Oh my
shin. My dad was carrying a TV outside and. And tripped over and smashed it, and people were angry. People were
Yeah,
angry.
hell angry.
People were pretty angry at me, Mike, for that one. So yeah, I did a lot of that kind of stuff, but that shut it down.
And just to be clear, we're talking about like a tube TV, like a
Yeah, it was a cathode ray. Yeah, like the old-fashioned weighed an absolute 500 pounds or something. It's one of those things. Next up is I went for Gremlins. Like Gremlins.
Is Gremlins a Christmas movie?
It definitely is.
It is
a Christmas
yeah, it's
movie.
A Christmas movie.
So, and
Okay.
I have one
What do you
that
have?
I've thought of. I don't if you want to think of one on the spot. I went with the Knicks, just broadly speaking, the Knicks, because like the people that are like doing well are like named Quentin Grimes, which is it's like that's a Gremlin name, or like maybe like a Dickens novel name or something. Anyways, villainous. And I still do believe at midnight or whatever it is, there's some kind of, maybe they get water on them or something like that. They're going to turn back into the fluffy things. All right. They're not going to stay gremlins forever. Right.
Yes.
They got good, and they are the most fugazi of the like win streaky teams right now. Okay. That's my opinion.
I kind of think of the Memphis Grizzlies only for the fact that they're this young collection of like talented players who maybe got a little too big for their britches, but I mean they're like the number one team in the West, I think, right now. So that's even a little bit of a fallacy on my part.
Yeah.
But and also Desmond Bane, he kind of looks like his arm length makes me think of a gremlin because they have such a tiny wingspan, and Desmond Bane famously has a negative wingspan, which is why he got drafted so low. So just from pure aesthetics, Desmond Bane, and also like John Morant, gremlin-esque. I go Memphis Grizzlies.
I like it.
For that.
Next up, I have the Santa Claus, Tim Allen spectacular film. And for this, I went with Zion, not because of the body shape or anything like that. I didn't do that, but because
Why am I gaining weight?
yeah, but because part of it is that he realizes his magic, his inner magic, over the course of time. And
Sure.
I don't know if you've looked at his numbers right now, but Zion is, I'm Zion pilled right now. Like it is, it is having what he's shooting like 63% on 29 points per game, something like that. Something obscene like that in the last 10 games. So it's happening. He's becoming a Christmas miracle.
So like this too, I mean, a reluctant hero is a common archetype, but like Tim Allen was a reluctant Santa Claus. So I'm trying to think of like who's been thrust into a situation that they really ultimately didn't want to. And I think of Rudy Gobert. He was thrust in the Timberwolves to be like the guy who elevates them from a fringe playoff team to a real contender. And it's not that he doesn't want to, but he ain't that guy.
Yeah.
He was not prepared to be Santa Claus. And just like Tim Allen needed some adjustment, Rudy Gobert needs some adjustment. I don't know if it's going to happen, if he's going to fully fit the suit. But I go Rudy Gobert and the Minnesota Timberwolves.
The next one is Die Hard, Mike. I'm going to go with Die Hard. We both have the same answer for this, I think. But I also want to say that, like, guys, we can the whole like the conversation of like is Die Hard. Like, there's a certain kind of guy that wants to have the conversation about is Die Hard a Christmas movie, like all the time.
They like to have it every year.
I don't know why.
It's
Nobody cares either way, and I guess it's a Christmas movie. But that's still like there's people on Facebook who are like, guys, and don't forget, Die Hard is a Christmas movie. All right, okay, we got it, buddy. So we pitched this in the pre-production meeting, 4-hour long meeting, and I think we both decided that it was James Harden, Mike. And if you wanted to explain why.
Well, I think it was your idea.
It was my idea. Well, it's pretty simple. It's just because Bruce Willis's character steps on glass. That was my only explanation. And so he has a lower extremity injury throughout almost the entire movie.
It's a little bit of a weak link.
It is a weak link. That's kind of why I like it so much. It's just sometimes the weakest links are the most fun for me. If you want to have a more serious version of that, by all means.
I think Jimmy Butler's the most like John McClane of any NBA player.
Sure.
Because again, it's like these SOBs, they don't know what they're doing here. I got to clean up the mess. I got to go in. I'm going to do it by myself.
You know what's really crazy is that he had dreadlocks, like really long dreadlocks all of a sudden, then none. I don't know. Did anyone ever talk about that?
I thought, was that? I don't know.
Was it a joke? Was that a meme?
No, yeah, I thought it was a joke. Like I thought he...
Anyways, anytime I pull up the ESPN fantasy thing, I just see him with giant like red dreadlocks. It looks like a joke, but I don't know. I don't want to, if it's real.
Are
they
says,
extensions?
were they real?
Yeah.
He had I don't really care. Yeah.
What? Look it up. I want it. They're real, right? How's that possible?
I'll send it to you. I don't know. You could do the research yourself. It happened. I'm happy for him. Okay, what's the next movie up?
You seem straight up angry about this. I'm going to go Love Actually, Mike. Love Actually.
Oh my God, classic.
So I have an answer for this.
You're probably an anti-Love Actually guy, aren't you?
I don't mind Love Actually. I think all those like English sort of, and also this is not a Christmas movie, but it is sort of adjacent to holiday. I find it fascinating just for a lot of reasons, and I'm going to get into it. Actually, dovetails nicely into my answer because I think of Love Actually as a not very dramatic. There's not a whole lot of conflict in the film. It's a lot of these little, sort of vignettes where minor bits of conflict. Sometimes no conflict happens at all. They get instantly resolved. But there is kind of an ethically dubious undertone to a lot of the resolutions. We have like the prime minister, dating a secretary,
sexually
effectively
assaulting his assistant.
Yeah, there's a power dynamic thing there that's a little bit, all right, 2023 standards. We have a different. And then there's also like the January Jones arc thing where like some guy just goes to a ski chateau and there's just this like, pretty.
Well, he just goes to a bar in Minnesota, in like Milwaukee.
Yeah,
or
Milwaukee. Anyways, there's a lot of like weird, sort of ethically dubious things going on in the film. And that's why I chose the Bucks because on their face, it is a team with no conflict, just a romp, a romp and good time. But just beneath the surface, there's just a lot of bad, not ethically bad in the way that Love Actually is ethically bad. I don't want to start those rumors. I'm just saying that they injure players, they play dirty, and I don't like what they do and how they win games. And so they're Love Actually.
I just go for the Alan Rickman, Emma Thompson relationship.
Right.
With Alan Rickman's assistant being the woman from Star Trek Next Generation or whatever.
Yeah.
I was thinking trying to do the Alan Rickman voice, but I could not do it possibly
I want
justice.
you to try so bad.
But it's sort of like the Atlanta Hawks, and just like I feel like John Collins, again, we talk about John Collins, he's just been in trade rumors constantly. And I know Travis Schlenk has recently essentially moved into an advisor role with the Hawks, and Landry Fields is running the team now, which happened just yesterday. But it's sort of like the Hawks continually get caught trying to trade John Collins. It's almost like Brook Lopez back with the Nets. Brook Lopez was in trade rumors for years, and he's like, "Oh,
yeah,
I am such an idiot." Oh, that's why Alan Rickman. This is very nasally. Oh no. Oh, I am a classic fool. So it's really it can apply to any NBA situation.
Yeah.
Maybe the best is probably like when Kyrie was with the Cavs and LeBron wanted to trade him for Paul George, and Kyrie found out about it and was like, "Actually, I'm going to get traded to the Celtics because I am not trade fodder for you."
Right.
Oh.
Yeah.
Alan Rickman.
Yes. Nice
big Love Actually fan, as you
I could tell.
Not
It's a Wonderful Life, the Frank Capra classic starring Jimmy Stewart. Mike, we're going on the black and white days. I've got an answer.
Well, hold on a minute.
You got a Jimmy Stewart? No, that's a Jimmy Stewart.
Okay, a little bit.
Yeah.
I've never seen it.
Oh, well, it's a moral tale about a guy who's about to delete himself, and then he.
It's the Christmas Past one, or no?
Kinda. I mean, it's just past? One. It's just one ghost the whole time. It's an angel, and he needs to get his wings by helping him to see what would have happened if he wasn't around.
Does Alan Rickman play the angel?
Basically, may as well.
Jimmy.
So I went with Kevin Durant here, and it's because Kevin Durant stared into the abyss this offseason, wanted to delete himself off this team. All right, and now look at how great things are. Okay, he saw into a window of what this team would have looked like without him, and now everybody is loving each other. What do you think, Mike? Is it the Christmas?
That's really good.
Thank you. I left it for last because I thought it was worthy of going last.
And isn't like It's a Wonderful Life is sort of the title itself is like kind of playing with like what the actual movie is, right? Because he obviously he wanted to kill himself, right? Isn't
Yeah,
what
it's a
you
little
said?
bit of like count your blessings. It's like
Yeah.
you got it okay. All right, you got it fine. It's a wonderful life.
Well, just hold on a minute.
I
There.
think I'm summarizing
Hey,
that maybe.
Just
One of
hey,
you, one of you
wait,
crazy,
wait just a minute.
one of you crazy Frank Capra stands can come address my summary on Twitter. There's so many of them, Mike. They're crazy. They're coming out of the woodwork this
No,
time of year.
I'm just trying to read the plot summary on Wikipedia, and there's some fun stuff in there. I should watch the movie. I don't know.
Yeah, you'd like it, Mike. It's definitely like a dad movie for sure.
Okay, what is that?
Couple of tall IPAs, and then It's a Wonderful Life by yourself, and you're gonna
I'm
appreciate.
crying.
Yeah.
How
yeah.
deeply am I going to cry? I love your answer. I think it's because what you do is it's someone who sees what their life, right?
Yeah.
How they need to change their life.
They need to
And
change
Kevin
their
Durant seems happy.
Seems
now.
fine to me. Seems fine. He's jumping through hula hoops of fire right now, Mike. Sounds like a ball. Get us out of here. It's the holidays. We got to go drink some eggnog, dog.
Hey, just thank you for everyone who listens to this show.
Oh.
You are
Jeez, you're getting
our
sentimental.
gift.
Oh my god.
We appreciate you.
Wow. Where'd this
I
come
love
from?
you. I don't know if Brian does.
Oh my god.
No, I thank you. I know that, you spend a lot of time in our week to listen to this show, and I just appreciate everyone who does so.
Likewise. It's a nice sentiment. I think they know. If you guys really want to feel the love, come to discord.gg/googleguys, and I will personally kiss you on the top of your head.
Little Women is a Christmas movie? Not really.
Yeah, I get it. I see it.
Christmas happens. Okay.
Yeah, Christmas happens. That's how I would say it. Christmas happens.
Christmas happens. Thank you guys so much. We will be back in your ears next week. Probably do a show on Tuesday after that Cavs game. We'll have a lot to discuss.
I like it.
It'll be very exciting.
Love it. See you guys. We're out of here.